Today's update surrounds Qantas, who have confirmed that their first A321XLR will arrive in the coming month as part of ongoing fleet renewal efforts. Qantas Domestic is expected to welcome next-generation A321XLR in June of this year. The arrival of this aircraft aligns with the expectation that 7 new planes will come in the second half of the current ongoing financial year. Thus, the plane will join the expected arrival of more A220s and the low-cost division in Jetstar's continued commitment to Airbus single-aisle planes being delivered. While Qantas has a pretty substantial order book, accumulated through several noteworthy orders across recent years, the group is battling delivery delays. I know, shock horror. Qantas said its first A321XLR was expected to be delivered 3 months later to Qantas Domestic, with an early 2025 delivery per its latest guidance. That obviously now not possible, and a mid-2025 delivery revision is the more likely outcome. To cope with persistent delays, the airline has retained existing aircraft longer. Yes, I'm looking towards the reliable 737 family, while also eyeing the established leasing market to ensure that there are no real significant operational problems. Manufacturing delays are why the A321XLR delivery has been pushed back. However, Qantas is not the only airline that has experienced this. Other airlines also forecasting delays in the acquisition of their new-gen planes aimed at reshaping the business. With delivery of the first XLR inching closer, there are benefits even despite there being some pretty hefty negatives thus far in this acquisition. The Airbus single-aisle jet is 5 meters longer than the 737-800s that it is replacing, therefore the jet will be configured to seat 200 passengers in a 2-class config. The makeup will include 20 business class and 180 passengers in economy. Ultimately, this will equate to a 15% increase in the overall capacity. Qantas notes that despite a 15% increase, no space will be lost between seats as the airline ensures that customer satisfaction levels remain at an all-time high. Additionally, the XLR can fly 3,000 kilometers further than the 737-800s, which all of a sudden opens up new possibilities for Southeast Asia and Pacific Island flying, while boosting capacity on essential domestic services. Qantas is therefore incredibly excited about bringing this next-gen single-aisle plane into its fleet. It is also not the only next-gen type that they're expecting to take delivery of and have provided further updates. That is the A350-1000ULR from Airbus. The Australian flag carrier expects to take delivery of its first -1000ULR in the second half of 2026 as part of these renewal efforts. Delivery of the A350ULR will be part of a significant expansion of the international network, which is actually spurred on by the further announcement that the last 2 parked Airbus A380s will return to service. Like most airlines, Qantas parked its A380 fleet during the global pandemic due to that really big unknown. However, it has been slowly returning them to service over recent years, highlighting also the complex nature of this. These A380s will be back in service by the end of the 2025 calendar year, and therefore when the A350-1000ULR enters service in the following year, capacity will have increased tenfold, opening up many new opportunities and complementing the long-flying 787 fleet. The first A350ULR will enter the final assembly stage of its production in September 2025. Following this, flight testing will occur before delivery in the second half of 2026, permitting no further delays. Why did Qantas order the aircraft? Well, they picked the A350-1000ULR as part of plans to expand their global reach by making Australia accessible to some of the most in-demand cities in the world, but all doing this without a stopover. Labelled as Project Sunrise, the carrier wants to offer routes lasting more than 20 hours, such as Sydney to London, Sydney to New York, among many others that are in the works. Project Sunrise has been a long time in the making, with first talk emerging in the 2010s when an A350ULR type was pitted against the 777-9. Across the many years that followed, Airbus and Boeing would battle it out for the contract, but the pandemic delayed the process ever so slightly. Unfortunately for Qantas, delays to the launch of Project Sunrise's endeavour has occurred quite frequently, spurred on by several factors. At the beginning of 2024, they pushed the Project Sunrise launch to the middle of 2026, following delays in the 350, and now that's the second half of 2026 by the time the plane conducts the, you'd imagine, necessary crew training process, well, it'll likely be a 2027 launch. In early 2024, when speaking with insiders close to the airline, even at this point, they believed that a mid-2026 delivery would be challenging, considering the supply chain constraints, which have only become more complex. Thank you very much for your support here on the channel. If you've got any thoughts on the Australian flag carrier, let me know down below in the comments. But until then, I'll see you tomorrow, awaiting that next news recap.
And we'll fly.